So let's start. So I wanted to walk you through a bit of what I saw in my 10 days in Europe. And I'm going to warn you, I had 1,500 photographs, so we're going to, kind of tiptoe through these carefully. Did my best to scrub them, if you know what I mean. But you may see things you shouldn't see. So hopefully you don't. We'll see. I don't know. I did my best. So 3 places. I started in Munich. Obviously, for you folks that don't know, I live in Toronto. So I flew from Toronto to Munich. Spent 3 nights in Munich. And then I took a train from Munich to Venice. That train was awful, by the way, and we'll talk a bit more about why. I spent 3 nights in Venice. That was absolutely fantastic. At a high level, Venice is basically a resort island. It's incredible. And then I took a train from Venice to Vienna, which is in the top right corner. And I spent 3 nights in Vienna. Oh, and I didn't spell Vienna right. That's cool. Here, let me fix that real good. Way to go, Gibbs. Can't even spell Vienna. There we go. Munich, Venice, and Vienna. Yeah, I had a bit of a run-in when I was getting on the train in Munich. Yeah, definitely. Okay, so let's jump into this here. So we're going to start off in Munich, okay? So let's go ahead and I'll share with you what I saw. We'll see how well this works here. I'm a little nervous, but be kind. Ask any questions you might have, and I'll do my best to share with you. So this is basically the photo albums I've created today, frankly. I went through all these photos today. So you can see we've got different albums here. Yeah, Black Omen, I got a little crazy. I'll be honest with you, I think I took too many. So we're going to start with Munich. You can see there's 424 photos. This was the stop number 1 on the trip. And I'll kind of just pop this into slideshow mode here. Yeah, pink paper. I loaded up for the very first time Google Pics. Thank you for the suggestion. And I was saying at the start of the call, I made this for my mother. Okay, so you folks are getting a sneak peek. I'm going to share this with my mother when I see her next weekend. So this is at the Toronto airport. And I just got a kick out of the fact that it's like all this Canada memorabilia, including a whole section here on, maple syrup. So that was kind of tickled me pink. Now, I did take the Lufthansa plane from Toronto to Munich. I've never been on Lufthansa in my life, and it was fabulous. It came with like the pillow and the blanket, which is kind of normal, but the whole system here was incredible. You see this little round thing here? This actually pops out and you can put your drink in it, so you don't have to like lower the whole drawer here, the shelf. There's a place in here to put your iPad or your phone, and there's like the charger was right there. Like, the Lufthansa was incredible. I had a carry-on bag that I jammed under here. It's a little one. And I just had checked luggage, so it was okay. I sat in the aisles. Actually, no, on the way there, I sat in the middle seat. That was kind of awkward. It was Lufthansa. You can barely see it here. It's the German airline, Lufthansa. So yeah, I flew them from Toronto to Munich. It was good. It was good. The neat thing they had is, Lufthansa. That's right, pink paper. They had cameras mounted on the tail, so you could like see the top of the plane live, and then they had a camera pointing down on the ground, and then a camera at the nose. It was so neat. Like, I could watch the when we were landing, I could see the wheel come down, and then like boom, boom, bounce and stuff. It was so neat. Lufthansa was incredible. I thoroughly enjoyed their flight. And the food was delicious too. So yeah, so basically this was me just approaching Munich. And you can obviously see there that it's just gorgeous. This is the countryside, obviously. And when I landed, I basically took a 1-hour train into Munich proper. because like any major city, the airport is like an hour away from the city. So this is actually not at the airport, but this is actually just getting off the train. And I was kind of floored, like the bicycles were everywhere, like just piles and piles of bicycles. And I was like, that's weird. And we'll talk more about this, but it was just, I was just kind of like in awe at all the frickin' bikes. Just hundreds of them piled up at the train station. This was the hotel room that I stayed in. And it was kind of like a Bavarian style, I guess. Had this massive television, which I never used because everything was all in German. But it had a beautiful window here that opened up, and you had a view of like the courtyard in the middle. This was, you know, kind of a very tiny shower bathroom area, like extremely tiny. But you know, whatever, it was functional. This is just another view of the same space. There was a refrigerator in the middle. So they offered free water, so which was quite handy. Yeah, so this was, quote, my view. It was just basically a bunch of bushes. I mean, if I look carefully, you could see the I guess courtyard or whatever. Yeah, it was very tiny. It was very tiny, but it was okay. This is just the same space, but this is with the window open. The window was fabulous because you could tilt it left to right, or you could tilt it like top to bottom. So it was a massive window. The room was fabulous. Hotel was great. I was super impressed when I got there because I had sent a note to the hotel saying, hey, I'm getting in at 10:30. You know, can I leave my luggage there? And they're like, yeah, well, sure, but you know, we can't promise early check-in. Look at the time. I checked in at 1 o'clock. It was freaking awesome. I was, you know, I'd spent like, you know, 8 hours on the plane, another hour on the train, and a bunch of other crap, and I was so happy to get in and, you know, take a shower and all that. So kudos to these folks. The cost per night, Pick Paper, I honestly can't give you specifics. I would have to look at my records, but you're talking like maybe 200 to 250 Canadian per night on average. Yeah, this was the free water they gave. It was very, you know, classic, as you can tell. Welcome in, Stephanie. Good to see you. But yeah, so they let me into my room at 1 p.m., which was, the 3 p.m. was the check-in. So I was like, oh my God, this is just the best situation ever. And yeah, so this is basically the same space here, and I was really excited at the time, so I took about 3 pictures of the clock. So this is just kind of the view from, you know, laying on the bed there, and that's the window opened and the TV that I'd never used because it was all in German. This area here is kind of a lounge area. You kind of walk through here to go to, at the back, or I guess this is the front of the hotel, and down at the bottom of the picture is the back of the hotel. So you got to walk up and down here all day long. And then over here on the right is like outdoor lounge. No air conditioning. You are correct. You are correct. But these little couches here, they were super comfy. And there was like an area over here, a little bit more of another area that had like a vending machine. And they were selling teddy bears too, so that was cool. They had these giant chairs in the lobby. You can see here, like, their whole motif was kind of this Bavarian king kind of, you know, wood everywhere. Floor to ceiling wood. So now I'm outside and I'm just exploring at this point, and I'm immediately struck by this building. And I'm like, good Lord, look at the detail on the stonework. And this is kind of like, you know, I'm 5 minutes into my trip, and I'm like already like jaw is falling out of the, you know, out of the ground here. So yeah, I kind of was like just like incredible. Like my eyes were wide open on this particular part for sure. You can't really see it, but I found it interesting how they would like net around different parts of the building to avoid pigeons from perching. So it's kind of neat. So yeah, just another view of the same building here. This kind of gives you a sense of the traffic too. There's obviously I was in Munich, so it's like a metropolitan. So cars for sure. Where I was staying was about a 20-minute walk from what's called Old Center or Old City. And it has kind of this castle-y area, and it's kind of like a public area where there's no cars allowed, so it's just a lot of people walking. And I spent a lot of time kind of from the hotel to here, back to the hotel to here, really trying to explore quite a bit. And we have all sorts of amazing architecture. Oh yeah, no, like, you're right, the architecture in Europe is just gorgeous. I fully agree with you. So I don't even know what all this means, but it just was like, that looks nice. Click. Oh, that looks nice. Click. So I kind of was wandering down this way, and I'm like, what is this thing? Like, and you hear like the church bells going dang, dang, like every 15 minutes there's church bells. And I was like, where are these churches? So this thing here was kind of very high up in the sky. It was one of the tallest buildings, so it was kind of like a landmark for me to find my way to and from this part. So this whole area here was restaurants, shopping, kind of a touristy area, so it was kind of neat. This was inside the church. Absolutely fabulous. It's an operating church. So, you know, you had folks in here in the pews doing their thing, and, you know, just the height of this church was just unbelievable. I've never been in a church this big. So yeah, this was definitely one of those moments where I was like, good Lord. Literally, you know? Yeah. And then this is from the front of the church itself. And you can see, like, this thing is old. Like, I can't remember exactly. Some of these buildings are 16th century, 17th century, and obviously 18th century. So it's all a mix when you get into these cities. I don't remember how old this building is, but it's got brickwork, so I'm thinking probably 19th century, maybe. The other thing is a lot of these actually, you know, in some of these cities they burn them, they got burned down and then they had to rebuild them, you know what I mean? So, don't know if that's the case here, but it was just an impressive structure. And like, why 2 clocks? I don't know. Don't you have clock towers in Canada? Oh yeah, we do, Tildy, we do. But I mean, you gotta remember, Canada was born in 1867, right? I mean, obviously we had people living here before that, or colonizing, I'm using fingers here, like colonizing before that. But when you're in Europe, right, it's like 1658 and, you know, like 890 or, you know, whatever, like just 400 or 500 years more, right? So this is, you can see all the people here. So this is just, again, part of that same area. And I love when cities do this. When they take a section of their most popular area and they block it to cars. And it's nothing but people. And it just feels right to me. And I really like how Europe does this. So far I've seen it in the UK. And I've seen it obviously in my trip here. Just love it. I love when the cities do that. This is a close-up of the building. So this is obviously a different type of structure. It's not your brickwork. This is another church that was also ringing its bells. And, I mean, just look at it. This thing is freaking... Like, the little details everywhere, right? Just... And the color was so bright, too. Here's a nice picture here. This was right opposite of that. It's like a square, what they call a Platz over there, P-L-A-T-Z, and it was under restoration. But like you can tell here, like it's fairly old just by the wear and tear on the statues and what have you. But it was kind of really close by, and this is just the portrait view of that. What I really enjoyed was in that square was these pebbles or stones. I don't even know what you want to call them. And you can see the design here, right? Like, look at this. This is wild. But not only that, like, these rocks here, they're not painted. So, like, these are, like, white rocks. And these are, like, darker gray rocks. So they had to, like, gather the rocks, cut them to shape, and then fit them in here to make them these patterns. I was floored. Yeah, cobblestone for sure. But, like, it was just like, they're not painted. They're like literally that color. I was like, whoa. And even here is just another example, right? Like, just look at the design of this. Like, how much labor did it take to put that down? I don't know. It's crazy. Now I'm walking through a park. This is a massive park that's really close by. Some king or queen, you know, they had their land and they made a big park or garden, right? So it was kind of cloudy this day. You can see here in the sky. But it was such a massive park. I really enjoyed just walking it, you know, and exploring it. And there was actually a wedding that day. I nearly crashed it. I was so close. But yeah, you can see the beautiful bride. I guess there for pics or something. I'm not sure. But yeah, there was a wedding there. And this is the same area that you basically entered way at the bottom of that picture. And, you know, we'll kind of walk towards the bottom here. And it's just, look at the trees. And just... You know, these parks that, like, these are in, like, a major city, right? This is not out in the wild somewhere. This is in downtown Munich, right? Yeah. Cobblestone's terrible in the winter. They're slippery. Yeah, I suppose. I hear ya. Good for jogging. Oh, yeah, for sure. This is connected to that park. And I kind of like the way these trees, like, they clearly look like they were purposely planted this way. And just very well manscaped. No, that's not a right word. Landscaped. Not manscaped. Very well landscaped area here. And as you walk through here, there's actually a government building. So it's actually an active government building here. So I can imagine, like, if you worked in the government, you come out here on one of these benches for lunch, and then go back inside to work. That would be awesome. But you can see how well it's landscaped. I've been to Central Park, but they're so nice and different. Yeah, this is definitely very different, right? So you can see that this building here in the middle section is kind of old. And then this part here on the right is kind of a newer addition. You can tell by the clean brickwork and obviously all the glass. So this part here is definitely newer than the part over here on the left. Good for a picnic, I agree. What a beautiful manscaped park. Dalton, are you going to use that against me? This is the front of that government building. And it has like this little creek here, which I thought was kind of neat. I forget what this sign said. Something about... I'd have to translate it again. But I just thought it was interesting. I thought it was like, don't jump in the water, but it's like, the building is open at certain hours or something. I can't remember what it was, but yeah. But anyways, you got an Uber Eats ad? Oh, time to go eat then. Your words, not mine. Thank you. Continuing down the front here, you can kind of see they have the flags, and I was curious about like these blue checker flags, right? I saw it on buildings, like little shields with blue and white, and then when I came around to the front of this government building, it had like the flag of it, and I'm like, huh, I don't know what that means. This is the Euro flag. Obviously this was Israel, this is Ukraine, and that's Germany. And then it had these like blue and white checkered ones. I was like, I don't know what that means. Welcome in, Pinky. Good to see you. Welcome in. Now I'm heading back around the park, and this is the same yellow building we saw from before, and this is the same kind of vestibule where the wedding was happening, but just a different angle as I walk back through the park. And I really thought this was a nice picture here. It kind of combines both in the foreground and the background here. With just, and you can see all the people. Like, there were hundreds of people roaming this park. And now I'm heading back towards the, you can see there's cars here. The traffic actually stops right here where this car is. So the road kind of ends, and then I'm walking back to that old city center thing. Yeah, I didn't crash the wedding. No, I did not. Walking further around, this building here, I don't even know where to start with this. This is a very important building. Marienplatz is the name of the square here, and you'll see a picture of it later on, but this is actually like a city hall. So the city of Munich runs the government out of this building, which, like in Canada, like, you know, we don't have 17th century buildings for our city halls, right? They're all in like 80s, 90s, kind of corporate glass nightmares. We actually, our old city hall kind of looks like this in Toronto, but the new one is just a glass nightmare. You actually see it in one of the Resident Evil movies. If you look it up, Toronto City Hall is actually featured in one of the Resident Evil movies. But this kind of made me think of Harry Potter for some reason. The flowers, there's a glockenspiel a little over the left here. You can't quite see this picture. This little fountain here was kind of neat, but this just was incredible to see this perspective. This is another view of the same area. This is called Marienplatz. It basically means, Platz means square. And then there's another church over here. So yeah, lots of churches, lots of clocks, lots of church bells. But there was definitely, if you see where the S and the U is right over here, that's the subway system. And the subway system was actually quite impressive. So you have like these old areas and then boom, subway underneath it. And I'm like, wow, how the hell did they put that subway down there? This is me having a drink. And this was my first beer I actually had on my trip. And this is some schnitzel here that I had for dinner. This potato cucumber salad was kind of odd. It had a very heavy dill flavor, but the schnitzel was fabulous. So good. Yeah, it's veal. That's right, it's veal. You live next to a church? Do you hear the church bell go every 15 minutes? I actually put a TikTok up where I was just standing probably a good kilometer away from the churches, and I could still hear the bells clearly. But yeah, so this was, I think, a liter. I think it's a fairly large glass of beer. This was the local brand of beer, and that's just water. Now it's interesting. I ordered water, and they gave me like sparkling water, and I'm like, no, I wanted water. He's like, yeah, that's water. I'm like, do you have water without all the sparkles? And they're like, oh, you want standing water? And I was like, standing water? Yeah, like still water. And I'm like, okay, can I have some still water? So then from that moment on, I had to always find still water because water is sparkling. Whereas if you want it without that, you have to say still water. Yeah, Kat, this is actually potatoes and cucumber with dill. Lots of dill in it. It was quite delicious, but very different, you know? Yeah, exactly, Pink Paper. You have to tell him still water. I know, I got caught the first time. So that was, I think, the end of day one. This was me heading back. I just took a picture of the Glockenspiel, which is kind of up here in the center part here. It was very dark at that point, but the Glockenspiel only runs a couple times a day, and from what I understand, because I never got a chance to see it, there's these little puppets that spin around here, and there's a bunch of music or something, so... But anyways, yeah, that's the Glockenspiel, and this is the City Hall in Marienplatz. This is back at the hotel at night now, so same hallway. You can see the teddy bears, and this is basically where you have your nightcap. This is, they had a vending machine there, so they had red wine, white wine, and they had this brand of beer in the vending machine. So I helped myself to the vending machine. And there was quite a few folks that would be kind of lingering in this lounge area, and the one night it was like, I don't know, maybe a group of 8 or 10 people just getting hammered off of these beers, okay? The beers were €4, and the wine was 5, from what I remember. So relatively inexpensive, but you can get it cheaper if you go to a supermarket, but not bad. And there are the teddy bears. I think they were 13 euros. That was the name of the hotel, King's Hotel. This was where I had dinner that night. I actually just took this because I was trying to figure out what I wanted to eat. But this is where I had dinner. And this is what I had. I had the Josephine schnitzel from pork loin. So yeah, so that was basically night one. That's me looking up at the ceiling of where I'm sleeping. So this wooden panel thingy, kind of up in the ceiling there. Were the bears any good? I didn't actually touch them. But they look pretty good. I mean, they were kind of small, you know, they weren't big teddy bears, which I don't think is necessarily a bad thing, right? Well, welcome in, Lizard, welcome in. The wine and beers were more available than water, pretty much. So that was basically day one. This is day two, and first thing I noticed is a craven roaming around outside the hotel, and I was like, come here and I want to take your picture, and it kept running away from me. So I was like, aw, that craven doesn't want to play with me. The same area here, and kind of looking back, you can see some modern buildings, right? So definitely a mixture of kind of the old architecture and the modern architecture. And the cobblestone here was incredible. Again, I was like, wow. Painstakingly, someone had to put that down. A little further along, you've got this old building here. I don't even know what this was. I think it was like a shopping center, maybe. But just more of the same. Like, you can see the weather was fantastic. Very lovely that day. This was day two. And the fountain that was nearby. Operating, you can see the water spitting out of it. And this is from the back side of it. With that old building in there. I was like, how do I want to take this picture? So what you're going to see is when I was on my trip, I struggled with photography. I'm like, do I want it here? Do I want it a little bit further back? Do I want it from the left, from the right? You'll notice a lot of what I took was portrait photos, and that was more because I was like, well, I'm going to turn these into TikTok, so this seems like the right way to do this. But then I'm like, crap, this looks better in landscape. So yeah, I kind of, you'll see some duplicates here for sure. Welcome in, ZZ, welcome in. Yeah, no, definitely this was an interesting fountain, fully operational. I have no idea how old it is. So like, look at this, so you like, think about it. This picture is okay, but isn't this picture a little bit nicer? You know what I mean? Like, let's look, his landscape. You can actually see the name of the building over there. And here's portrait. I don't know. So anyways, just more sightseeing, exploring, and essentially the same pics. I'm walking through, where am I going here? I think I'm heading out to English Garden. Oh no, maybe not. Let's see where I head out to here. But I'm basically walking down the street, just exploring here. This is a relatively new building, but it's got kind of a Roman-esque kind of vibe to it. One thing I did see was a lot of construction in Munich. Landscape is a pick, portrait is a what? A yeah? Landscape's better for actual landscape. Very good point, Kat. Very good point. It was definitely a lot nicer weather on the second day. And another kind of random statue. It's random to me because I don't know who that is or the purpose of that, but the one thing I did notice was the scooters. Holy crap. These rental scooters, I think I talked about this, about how they've kind of come up in Toronto quite a bit too, but in Munich, they were everywhere. I was so impressed with how physical people are in Munich, whether they were running, whether they were riding bicycles, or if they were hopping on these scooters. Just, like, I actually, as a walker, I felt nervous being around everybody else, because whether they were running or biking or scooting, I felt like I was in the way all the time. Yeah, e-scooter, exactly. So, we'll see more of that later on, just the past and such. But so Maximilian, apparently this is the first ruler of Bavaria. So when it was the Empire of Bavaria, and this is his Platz, his square. A beautiful sunny day that day for sure. Yeah, I think people in Europe are healthier. For sure, yeah. So yeah, this is Maximilian. The street here is also named after him as well. He's very famous from what I understand. Tanya, hello there, welcome in. So there we go again, another scenario where I just feel like landscape looks better here. So let's just zoom it in here. Maximilian. And hey, look what I found. Now this one actually was playing with me. This little guy, he had no problem hanging around humans. He just hopped up and down, and you know, I was able to get quite a few little pics with him. Or her. Or whatever. But yeah, no, that was my friend. Continuing to explore, but I'm going back towards the area that I was at the previous day. Just took a slightly different route. And now, same kind of looks down there. You can see that there's obviously traffic here. Not traffic, but... So here, let me explain this a little bit, okay? So see this lane right here? This is for bicycles. Okay, and the people have a little tiny lane over here, which is kind of off the picture, but the bicycles have this massive chunk of real estate here. And the people, like you can't hang out here or you get run over. So I was like constantly trying to like not get run over by bikes. So this is the same area that I took the picture before, but from a slightly different perspective. And you can kind of see here, bike lane, and people lane is, I don't know, where there's no people allowed, I guess. So I came back to the same area because it was a much nicer day and I wanted to get some pictures with the blue sky. It's the same church, just with the light and the way it was shining on the building at that time of the day in the morning, it was gorgeous. And this is the same area where the wedding was happening, but again with a much nicer sky. The map of the area. So essentially, this English garden was where I was walking to. Okay, and it's just some garden that somebody rich made back in the day. And it's massive, huge plot of land. And Olympia Park, I went to this area too, but I took a bus to it. This was where the Olympics were held in 1968, 58, 78. I don't know when it was, but there's an Olympic Park over here that I explored too. This train line is basically the train line that you take into the area. So my hotel was almost right next to the train station. So I pretty much explored all this area by foot and up into this area by foot as well, into the garden. And I walked down this river here too. You'll see that coming up as well. So I kind of, pretty much this square here, I walked. It was probably close to 6 hours. Yeah. Oh, the food was good. I mean, it's salty, right? So that's why you drink beer, I guess, to wash down the saltiness, I suppose. Cat Buzz, how are you doing? How you doing? Yeah, I'm happy to share. If you have any questions, just shout them out. This is a zoomed in area of where I was at. You can see the red dot there. So this is actually a nice way to kind of spot it here. So this was the garden with the center area where the wedding was happening. That's the yellow church there. And that is the one with the statues that were being repaired. This is the other church with the two towers on it that I went in. And then this is the Old City Hall that kind of has the Harry Potter look with the glockenspiel up front. So it's just a lot of interesting things to explore here. And there's actually a market nearby that I explore as well, which is fun. But I'm heading over to the English Garden just to kind of go for a walk. You can see there's like a river here and such. I wanted to check that out. So I believe I'm at the English Garden now. So I've just arrived, and this is the little creek or river I was talking about. So it just kind of flows in here. And this is, again, this is in downtown Munich, right? Massive park. Just absolutely gorgeous. There were lots of beautiful flowers, yeah. Where are the ducks? Oh, you hang on. You're going to see some ducks. So you just very old trees, right? And very well manicured. A lot of people at this time of the day. It was kind of like lunchtime, I think. Can't recall. I think it might have been earlier than lunchtime. So it's pretty quiet, but I could obviously time my pictures not to have people in it if I could, right? There's your ducks. You want ducks? I got you some ducks. Did it go fast? Yeah, it was 10 days. It was 10 days. Three nights in each city with a travel day. But the trees were fabulous. And you can tell by the colors, right? It's perfect time to travel there. We're in that autumn kind of phase, right? A slightly different photo with the sun coming through. I kind of was like, I don't know, which picture do I like better? This one? Or this one? I was like, I don't know. I actually didn't really eat much, to be honest. Like, to be completely honest, I did not eat a lot. I did not have 3 meals a day. I didn't show it, but after I finished in this park, I went to a local bakery. Oh my god, the bakeries in Munich were incredible. It's in the middle of like a residential area. So I had a cappuccino and like a Bavarian donut. Oh my god, it was so good. So yeah, so just some kind of photos here that I was just kind of experimenting with which one I liked. Very open area here. You can see way at the back there's some kind of old building which I didn't get a chance to go to. Like, I think it would have taken me an hour to walk there. So I didn't bother. I just went, oh, that's cool, and then hung right. And that's obviously the landscape picture of the same thing. It's just another scenario, right? Landscape clearly was providing more detail than the portrait pic, right? So yeah. So this was just a massive park. You can kind of see the people lingering there too. So people are using it. In the same park, there is this kind of little rapidy area, which I thought was quite gorgeous. It's not that deep, but it was moving kind of fast. So I kind of explored this a little bit, took a little side pic. And the sign here, it says no swimming from what I remember. But I think this area is actually known for people actually swimming in it. Even though there's a sign that says no swimming. It's fairly shallow. I think if you were in it, you might be up to your knees at this point. You could definitely see the bottom of it for sure. And a slightly different angle of the same area. Just more walking through this area. And so through here, obviously I timed the pic, but there were people running, bicycling, just walking or whatever. Very active pathway here. And I crossed a little bridge and I was like, oh god, look at the colors. So I'm like, wow, I'm gonna take that pic. And then I turned around and went, oh man, I'm gonna take that pic. So I took it kind of facing one direction and facing the other direction. And then I'm like, oh wait, I could take this pic. Just yeah, so very lovely area. I was quite happy with this little stretch here. Now I'm coming to the exit of the park, and I was like, somebody had mentioned to me they surf in the park. I'm like, what do you mean they surf? How the hell do you surf? Like, the creek is like, you can't surf in a creek. So guess what? You can surf in the creek. I was shocked. I had never seen anything like this before. I mean, that's kind of going to be the story of everything that I share with you tonight. But yeah, these folks here are basically riding man-made waves that are essentially, from what I understand it, the city built this just to not have static water, so they purposely built like a, kind of like it dips down and then quickly pops up. So it's like concrete, right? And flows water through here. But by building it that way, it makes these waves. So these folks here, like you've got ladies and gentlemen here that they've got their suits on and their boards and they're surfing the waves. Like, oh my God. And they like take their turn. They're only on here for maybe 20, 30 seconds. They fall off and float backwards. And then the next person jumps right in. It was pretty wild. Now here's another angle. So you can see the one person fell off here. This one fell off and is walking to get back in line. And here's the dude surfing. Yeah, no, they were surfing on the creek. It was crazy. Very wild. So I'm continuing to kind of explore, and I'm hungry at this point. This is where I'm trying to find that bakery I mentioned. And I want a cappuccino too. So this area here is all residential. And like just the building and the pinks and the yellows and the oranges. I was like, oh, I want to live here. And obviously you can see the tram lines here as well. I found it interesting that there's no light poles. Okay. I'm guessing in these older neighborhoods, they were never wired for light, right? So they hang lights in the middle of the streets. And then there's like wires that go to each side of the building. And that's how they provide light down the middle of the street. And here's another kind of view of the same thing, right? So they had the line here for the tram. And then they got another set of wires for the lights down the center of the street. It's crazy. So this was a nice little eatery here. I nearly had dinner here. But what I found neat about this is they provide little blankies. And they have these like little cushions here too. Like, I was like, oh my God, they pamper the people that sit outside. They want you to be outside in the winter because they give little blankets for you. Now when I was here, it was probably like 10 to 15 Celsius. So, you know, I don't know if you needed the blanket. But yeah, they had like little blankies. And this was common. I saw quite a bit of these outdoor restaurants with little blankets for their guests. And yeah, this is the direction I was walking here. More of the same area here, all residential, so no tourists in this area. I was off the beaten track for sure. I found a vending machine space, which kind of struck me a little odd here. So there's like this room that has a bunch of vending machines, right? No big deal. But like, you can get toilet paper from a vending machine, and like, how do they design this thing to be able to handle all these weird shapes, right? I thought that was interesting. But not only that, so these are like a lot of toiletries and such, right? But you also had like alcohol and condoms and, you know, other adult things. And then, so you could like select whatever you want, right? But the thing is, see this little machine down here? You have to swipe your local ID to prove you're of age. So I couldn't buy any of this because my ID does not work on this frickin' system. So this vending machine had all sorts of adult goodies, but I couldn't buy any of it because I didn't have the proper photo ID to swipe here to prove I'm an adult. Yeah, it was kind of neat. So yeah, here's just, you can see they had full bottles of wine in here, and obviously a bunch of the good stuff. Like you can get like vodka and a lot of spritz drinkers over there too. But yeah. So this is basically it. This was the whole space. You had 3 vending machines, and yeah, it was kind of neat. I ended up just buying like a juice out of this one over here. And this is back out on the street again, and I just, you know, these are just people living their lives in this area of town. It's wild. Now, I'm back along the creek. I'm heading back towards the hotel at this point. And this is just another creek that sort of has this cool walking area. next to it. I'm just kind of scooching here a bit here, but just a lovely little creek, you know? And the plants and the trees and just it all added to the atmosphere. And you can kind of barely see at the back some of the older buildings in the background there. So I'm at the end of this section of the creek, and they had a lot of these statues, just old statues here. Now we're in the modern part of that same river, and this is actually at the high end. You can kind of see here, you see how shallow it is? Because this is on the other side of a dam, and this is the high part of the dam. So they were like generating electricity off this little creek here. It's crazy. And I really like this picture here just because of like the lines and the big trees, and people were running up and down, biking up and down here. So I had to like get in front of them, take a picture, then quickly get out of the way or they're going to run me over. Yeah, so there you go. So just fantastic place to explore and walk. Another church. The architecture here, it's just more brickwork. And like I said, the bells were ringing every 15 minutes, right? Like, and all the churches were ringing. It was a cacophony of church bells the whole time I was in Munich. I'm at the end of the, there's a bridge over here. I'm just looking back the way I walked. Kind of like this picture here. It's kind of nice. Oh, and here we have my peach friend. So I actually was walking through here, and I'm like, you know, at this point I'm like basically trying to make my way back to the hotel, and I'm like, what's this? Why do I see an ass? And I was like, what is going on here? We you know, so the statue, I think I posted this on Twitter, right? I was like, I found somebody's peach. Yeah, well, Tildy, that's the thing, right? Like, Canada, I would even say to a certain extent, United States, we're young countries, right? So we don't have the same kind of 400, 500 years of history. So a lot of our buildings are just new, you know? And then this is the front of our friend here. Another lovely picture just showing the river I just walked along. So I started way down there and walked all the way back up this way. Very nice peach, I agree. So this is a, you know, good example of how I think modern cities, you know, I'll call them North American cities, should have done it to a certain extent. You know, you can see the first floor is all new, right? And then the top floors, it's all original, right? And you know, you kind of allow yourself to have a modern feel for your guests, your store patrons, but you still keep the facade of the original, right? This is maybe to the extreme. I don't know if I would have had such a stark difference, but it was something that was like, oh yeah, that's, instead of like knocking it down and putting up glass crap, like it's just like, ugh. Yeah, Simona, how are you doing? Welcome in. This is me flagging the piece. My shadow game. Do you think my shadow game is fire? Ay, ay, ay. Now, this is a sneak peek of what was next. So, in each of the cities, I actually got on one of these hop-on, hop-off buses because I really wanted to explore. And I actually found it quite useful to, because all the buses have little audio jacks and they have different languages that you can listen to, like the history of what you're driving by. So I really enjoyed, because you can get on and then explore for an hour and then get back on, like very useful. Now they're not inexpensive buses. I think they're like 30 euros, 40 euros, I think, something like that. However, for me, never having been there, I found that it was very useful to, you know, explore. No selfies. I mean, Una, I kind of I was gobsmacked the whole time. I was not like, oh shit, I need to find a good place for a selfie. That was not on my mind. Venice was way worse, by the way. Munich was jaw to the floor. Venice, I nearly passed out from the sensory overload. Yeah, so like an all-day ticket on the transit was around 15 euros. So you're paying like about 15 euro premium to get like the touristy perspective. And of course you're above ground when you're, well, I guess technically you could be in a tram, but you know, you're basically sitting on the second floor of the bus here to have a good view. More bicycles, just everywhere. Piles and piles of bicycles. Working my way around again. I'm working my way back into this touristy area. And this kind of floored me. Accidental selfies with mirrors. Yes, that did happen, Stephanie. You are correct. I did have some mirror fun. You're right about that. But, like, I was thinking to myself, how the hell did this car get here? Like, and you can see it's, like, in pristine condition. It's a Mustang. I don't know what year it is. I'm not a car guy, but I saw this and went, holy crap! This car is looking amazing. So I had to take that pic. I don't think it's an Impala. I think it's a Mustang. I think if I look at the back here. But yeah, it's kind of like a muscle car, like Supernatural. I agree. This was another residential area with kind of modern buildings. And I always thought this was interesting, right? Bike. Oh, and a lady and a kid. Go this way. Where are the men supposed to go? You're not allowed. But this is a bike path. This is a bike path. Over here are the walkers. And then obviously you've got cars. The transit was incredible. So this was a step down into the subway. This was obviously above ground tram. Like, the public transit was phenomenal in Munich. This street here had some very expensive stores, plus this hotel over here is super high end. And you can kind of see a good picture of the tram here as well. Yeah, some very expensive stores. You can see Ralph Lauren, and like this was like the high-end street where you can drop a couple grand on a pair of pants, you know? And this is the hotel that's extremely expensive. I can only imagine it would be gorgeous inside. Eva Rose, hello there. Yes. Yeah, like boutiques, exactly. So, yep, this was definitely the rich area. Now, I'm coming back to the tourist part. You can see this building behind here and this weird looking thing in the front. We're going to talk a bit more about that. You see the German flag there. What I found neat in Munich is the taxis. You see how they're this like peachy yellowy color? All the taxis were painted the same way. It's kind of neat. This little fella here, we're going to see him up and close very soon. And in this building in the back here, it's a palace. And I actually, this day I was like, oh, what's this thing? And then the next day I actually went in it. And it's freaking ridiculous what's inside this palace here. How much money did you spend there? Simona, do you mean like to go inside the palace? Or do you mean like for food or for hotel or for trains or... it was adding up, I think, Simona. Like, this was not an inexpensive trip, because I flew there, which was, you know, not cheap. Hotels I stayed in were 200, 250 Canadian a night. So I was there 10 days. Do the math, right? And then, you know, you gotta eat, you gotta drink, you gotta, you know, there was investment. Yeah. I was not staying in hostels and, you know, scrounging for food off the streets, right? Yeah. Was it a package? No, Jules. It was all kind of independently picked and what have you. So, yeah. So we're going to get inside this palace and we're going to see this fella here as well. And this is just more of the same square. And I was just kind of like, wow, the taxis are all yellow, and this weird thing, it just seemed to stand out in the middle of nowhere. Now we're back in the walking street area, and there's quite a bit of restoration going on here too. But definitely just people walking the streets, you know? Another good view of everybody walking the streets. Bicycles everywhere. Yeah. Here's a close-up of the ground. Because I just was like, okay, is this old and this is new? Or what's going on here? Seems like you spent less than 500 euros on food and bev. Yeah, I mean, I didn't eat a lot, right? So, yeah. Same City Hall, but this is during the day. You can see it looks fantastic with the blue sky here. This was exactly from the same position I took it the day before, but now it's like beautiful blue sky. And here's the good old landscape view. You can see the Glockenspiel a lot better now. It's over here on the left. Just incredible. So this is Marienplatz. This little statue here is actually the Virgin Mary. And my understanding is the statue was put here in 16 whatever, 17 whatever, because the plague ended. And to honor that, they put a statue with the Virgin Mary on top. So this whole square was named after the Virgin Mary. So it's Marienplatz. But I just like... I look at this and think of the craftsmanship that goes into this. This is just unreal. And all the people hanging out there too. So yeah, quite a bit of photos of this building. If you ever do get to Munich, Marienplatz is where you want to basically hang out here. And check this out. And it's an active city hall. So, moving into St. Peter. This is a church that's very close by, an old church. And, you know, it's kind of doesn't look extremely fancy at all. It's, what I understand is it was the working, how do I put this? It was a poor person church. Okay? So the outside of it didn't have all the fancy kind of ornate sort of designs and what have you. It was all on the inside. But yeah, it was also a functioning church. What was interesting about it is you could actually kind of get to the top of the tower here. You can kind of see near the top there's a railing. It might be hard to see, but where my mouse is there's a railing, okay? And you can kind of get up there. For 5 euros, you can climb up here and see Munich from here. The problem is you got to climb up there. And it was about 15 flights of stairs. It is torturous. But yeah, I paid my 5 euros. I got my cardio in, and I walked up to the top of the church here. The steps are narrow. They most definitely are. This is basically, like, this is what the inside of it looks like. I mean, it's not a very good photo, but it kind of just shows you, like, you're in the guts of this tower. And you're walking up on wood stairs, and people are trying to get past you. But look what the payoff is. Look at this. 5 euros, a bit of sweat, maybe some heart palpitations. But look at the payoff. You hated yourself for doing it? I'll be honest, I was not impressed until I got to the top. And I was like, oh my god, this is totally worth it. Now, this picture here, this is the church that I started off with the 2 towers, right? Over here, we're going to get to this. This is actually an Olympia Park. Way over there, that tower. But this, I don't know how many pictures I took up here. Like 20, 30? It's your basically panoramic view of Munich. And you can see all the big buildings, or at least most of them, are churches, right? Just an incredible view. So here's the City Hall, the old City Hall with the Glockenspiel, right? Another very nice picture. Wonder what your step count was each day? I mean, I was out walking at least 6 hours. At most, I hit 9 hours of walking in a day. Yeah, no, I mean, it's an ugly journey to the top. No doubt about it, Pink Paper. But once you get it, you get this. So, and I didn't even know this is what you got, so I still did it. But yeah, no, the view up here was just stupendous. What else can I say about this? You can walk around on 4 sides and see all of Munich easily. And of course, I got super lucky with the weather, right? Like, look at the weather. It's freaking awesome. So yeah, so I'm not sure what else to say about this. This area down here, we're gonna get to it. This is an old market, okay? And well, I've got some pictures of here. I actually explored this as well. It's like an old market with like food and vegetables and honey and fish and, you know, a bunch of stuff down here in this old market. But yeah, so this is the view from the top of St. Peter's Church. Incredible view. Did you enjoy your trip? I sure did. Oh, I sure did. The sky is totally perfect. Exactly. Got super lucky that day. So this is a pretty good picture of Marienplatz. So again, it's a square. You can see on the left and on the right, these are subway entrances, right? So they have a subway stop right in the middle of this old 16th century square, which is incredible to me. This was the Virgin Mary statue. This is the city hall, and this square is called Marienplatz. You got restaurants, you had bookstores and shopping and all sorts of stuff in here. Churches. There's a nice picture here. Yeah, it's like a farmer's market, Scarlett. That's exactly what it is, yeah. Don't jump. No kidding. So this was definitely one of my favorite pictures too. You can still see this tower over here. For you folks that know Toronto, like we have the CN Tower. This is basically like the CN Tower. Or Seattle has, what's Seattle? Like Space Needle or something like that. So this is their like tower that they have in Munich. So yeah, that was kind of my view from the top of that St. Peter's Church. Am I done yet? I'm just scooching ahead here. This it reminded me of Assassin's Creed for some reason when that game. I don't know why, but just a gorgeous view from up top. It was all fenced in, by the way, so you couldn't tell from this picture, but I actually took this picture between the fence, okay? So there was no way to jump, all right? It was all fenced in like this. So I just happened to push my camera and dangle my phone out. So, you know, it was super dangerous for my phone, but not for me. I was safe. It was fully fenced in. Yeah, so this is basically back inside, and you can see all the people that are huddled out there, and this is kind of going back down now. I don't think I took any pictures on that staircase, but this is inside the church. It is an active church. And the ceiling, what can I say? It's a very nice ceiling. Better have that phone safe. Yeah, I definitely had some scary moments with my phone, ZZ. Definitely some scary moments. So I never understood, like I didn't get a chance to ask anyone when I was there, but I wasn't sure why this fabric was hanging here like this. I didn't quite understand that, but I mean, the ceiling looks gorgeous. I didn't know what this little blanket here was here for, but anyways, I mean, this was the inside of the church. I mean, just look at the detail on the pews, right? Just incredible. The ceiling is beautiful, I agree. They had an old organ here. What do they call that? Like a steam organ? Up in the back here. That was kind of neat. They were drying it, I guess. But you see here, like I just don't, I mean, I don't know enough about why that would be like that, so I can't answer that question. To catch the crumbling ceiling? Maybe. Maybe. So they had like fenced off areas here with some really old wood structures. Some of them look like confession booths and such. But people were, this is an active church, so people were actually praying in here. While the tourists were like casually snapping pics. But I mean, it was very quiet. Nobody said a word. We're trying to be respectful. We didn't walk in front of anyone praying. Like, we kind of didn't want to get in the way of, well, at least I didn't want to get in the way of that. So yeah, this was the church, church number 2. And this is the outside view of that same tower I climbed up to the top of. And outside of that church as well. So now we're kind of through all that area. I just realized it's been an hour and I'm still in freaking Munich. Good Lord. So, essentially I am, what am I doing here? This is a waste management building. I don't know why I took a picture of that, but I was like, oh cool, a waste management building. Oh, right. I was going to a concert. Okay. So this was at the Munich Philharmonic, I guess, concert hall. It's a fairly new building. Actually, is that? Yeah, that's the picture of the outside of the... Is that the picture of the outside? Yeah, I think it is. So this is the music hall that I went to for the concert. And I have no idea why I took a picture of the waste management building, but I did. And then this is inside the music hall. It's kind of like in the waiting area. Lots and lots of people. Lots and lots of people. Like, this concert hall was huge. I have a bunch of pictures on the inside. So this is basically the inside of it. Okay, so it was, you bought your ticket for a certain seat. At the back was a choir. On the sides was a boy choir. And then up on the stage here were all of the musicians. Like, look at all the freaking seats. This thing was intense. And this is just a wider view of the concert hall. It was incredible. And you had 3 floors here. You had the main floor and then 2 floors up top there. And just kind of a close view. You can see a big drum over there. My favorite instrument of this whole thing was the cymbal guy. The acoustics were good. You can see that the walls have like, they're not flat, they're like bumpy, which I think is good for acoustics, right? So I'm trying to, okay, so here's where the actually musicians are playing and the choir is singing. So that's a little bit closer view of that. Like, look at how many people are in the choir. What were they playing at the concert? It was all classical music, Jules. Like classical, right? With like the violins and like the, I don't know, what are these big guitars called? I don't know my names very well, but it's all like classical stuff like Mozart and Strauss and stuff like that. Cellos, sure. Bass, yeah, bass, that sounds right. And then, so the choir had basically 2 halves, so either the full choir would stand or half the choir would stand, depending on what song they were singing. And this is a nice wide shot view of that. Just an incredible experience. This was them getting an applause. Yay! Big guitars, yeah, exactly. Well, there's 2 different types. There's like the cello violin, and then there's like the double bass or whatever it is. I went to 3 different concerts, 1 in each city, so... this was intermission, so we kind of all came back. Huge building, you can see all the different floors of people hanging there, chatting about the show. There was singers too, so this lady here, she was like one of those, I don't know. I'm not sure this dude was a singer too, but they were like opera singers, I guess? Opera singers. Now here's the full view. So you can see the boy choir on the edges here, and then obviously the full choir in the middle, and then all of the folks here with the singers too. And this lady in the middle, she was the The stick person. Oh my god. The maestro? No. What are they called? What's the person that leads the thing called? Conductor. Conductor, right? Conductor. So she was the conductor in the middle there. So anyways, yeah, so that was a hell of a night. This is what I had for dinner. It doesn't look very appetizing, but it was curry wiener, and the curry was quite tasty. But now that I see the picture, it doesn't look that appetizing. Yeah, finally a wiener. Yeah, finally. I took the subway to the concert hall and back because it was actually not near the hotel I was at. So this is just me waiting for the subway. And here's the good old subway. This was the station that I was at. And this is the hotel that I was in. So this is the view from it at night. The King's Hotel. And this was the subway trip. So basically right here is where I get on the subway, and then I had to transfer and then take it all the way down there. So the blue thing is where I was standing, which was actually at the hotel, and then this is obviously the train station. So you can see I was at a hotel very close to the train station. And that was on purpose. So I'm back at the hotel now, and I'm in kind of the slightly different area. This is at the hotel, and I'm just having a cold one. And then I'm having another cold one. Next day. Oh my god. The sky again. Day 2. This time I took the bus. So you can see here, there was quite a few single travelers, to be honest with you. I'm not going to get into specifics, but yeah, there was definitely a lot of solo travelers from what I could tell. So now I'm on the bus. So I'm sitting on the second floor. And these are all bus pics, so they're all going to be kind of janky, a little slanted. You know, but that's kind of what you get when you're on a bus, right? So I don't recall much of what all this stuff is. I do remember this being like some sort of this area here, and you know, I'm just gonna say it because that's what they said it. This was like a Nazi statue, and then there was like the Nazi head office was over in this building. Like, you know, that they embrace the history in the sense of they don't hide from it, right? It was interesting seeing tracks just in the grass too. So yeah, you can see they're not obviously maintaining the statue. It's kind of worn out, but they're not hiding from it. It's here. It's their history, right? So yeah, this is all again from the bus, and a lot of construction fencing that I saw in different places. This is an ambulance. Beautiful building there. Some nice flags. Again with the blue checkered flag, which I eventually found out was actually the flag for Bavaria. So the region of Bavaria, where Munich is. A Canada flag. I had to get that Canada flag in. And there's a nice picture of the lantern that gets hung between the buildings. It's crazy. This makes me want to solo travel to Munich. Oh, it is gorgeous. Wait until I get to Venice. I don't even know what I'm going to do. But yeah, so this, I thoroughly enjoyed Munich. It was just a fabulous experience. Look at all the people walking around here. Another scenario where they've kind of put art on the wall of the original sort of building, but obviously this is all a brand new building. But they drew the old building in, which I thought was neat. A very interesting building, like very Roman, right? With the pillars and columns and that. So this is the museum. This is a palace, and we go inside this at one point. Okay. I'm trying to skip through some of this stuff here. I mean, it's just a lot to take in here. So I'm seeing a lot of things I had seen when I walked, right? So, but I was on the bus. But this was a university, which I thought was interesting. So this old building, they turned it into a university. And I'm thinking, I would love to go to a university like this. This is crazy. Max Planck Strauss. I thought that was interesting. More just streets, right? With the wires above and like the tram lines everywhere. And this pole, which I never really understood what it was, but this is actually back in the market, which I walked through at some point. And this was a newer building, which was seemed out of place to me when I saw this new building. Apothecary. I mean, that's a pharmacy. A subway. But yeah, just lots of construction. Yeah, for sure. I mean, this was kind of pretty much what you get when you're on the bus. Like, your photography is gonna have wires and such in it. I mean, that's just the nature of the beast, so. And there's the subway down, which is very well done. Right in the midst of all these old buildings, they just put a subway station. And then I'm coming to the end of the bus tour here. So there was 3 buses, 3 different like tours you can go on. You pay 1 fee and you get on all 3 tours. So coming into the end of, so yeah, here's the 3 different tours. The map's kind of cut off, but basically, depending on which bus you get on, you explore different parts of the city. So now I'm walking back to the hotel, I think, because I needed to like change or something. And now I'm going back to the old city area because I want to go to the market. Oh yeah, I went to a bookstore. I thought it was interesting, like they had anime in German. I don't know. I'm not sure why I found that interesting, but I did. So I think this was Dreamwalker or something, but yeah, they had anime in German. Dream Slayer? I don't know. Another bookstore. There's like a bunch of chairs, right? So if you recognize this building, this is the City Hall with the Marian Queen or the Virgin Mary statue, right? So this bookstore was on the other side of the Marienplatz, and you sit here and read, and that's your view. I mean, all the seats were taken. Let's put it to that way. Everybody was reading something in every seat that was available. Oh, I guess they actually had English books. They had a very tiny section of English books. So I thought that was interesting as well. But yeah, no, the bookstores were very well populated and what have you. Now we're back outside and I'm walking towards the market and more bicycles, more cobble, more old buildings. And now I'm in the market and we've got animal parts. Yep, more cobblestone. So yeah, we've got all sorts of animal parts here. You can name the ones you recognize. It was just all there, like, hello there, hello. So yeah, this was pork, I think, pork bits. But they also had a honey store, and the honey little bee here. And then they had a cheese store. You got yourself a good wheel of cheese. And then they had like fruits and vegetables. So this was again the kind of farmer's market. Yeah, chubby little mascot, right? A little happy bumblebee, or with a bunch of honey there. So yeah, the farmer's market was fun. Some more fruits and vegetables. You can see, you know, a church in the background there. And this was a map of the general area with the farmer's market. So it's a fairly large farmer's market. And you can see these little spikes here too. So why do you think there's little spikes on top of this sign? Because it took me a few seconds to like wrap my head around what the hell? Why are there spikes on the sign? But it's to keep a certain feathered flying person from perching up there. I saw it all over the place. Yeah, they put it here so the birds don't land on top of that surface. And there's no bird crap, I guess. Just another store in the market. This was the, I'm not exactly sure what it is, but this was like this pole in the middle. I think it's... I don't want to say it, but it's symbolic of something. I'm not sure exactly, but it just looked neat. And so I took a picture of it. A flying person? Yeah, the flying person can't sit there. Exactly. But yeah, the farmer's market, it smelled freaking awesome, okay? There was like one area that was like lavender and like another one that was potpourri, and I had a glass of fresh juice. So Anna's is, did I have this one or this one? This one's pineapple orange. But yeah, no, they had freshly squeezed juices. I didn't buy any honey wine. No, I did not. Very ornate pole. Yeah, very, very interesting. And they had a flower store. And these little buddies here, which I thought was interesting. I see these emojis all the time, right? I was so tempted to buy this statue, but I was like, how the hell am I going to get this home? Next time. Yeah, exactly. This was one of the few places I actually saw anything Halloween related. Anything! Like, I struggled to find anything with a Halloween vibe. Yeah, so the flowers were lovely. Just lots of pinks and blues and purples. Very lovely. Can't hear, can't see, can't speak, right? But there was very limited Halloween vibe in my entire trip there. This is a beer garden. So basically, it's a beer garden. I don't know how else to explain it, but it's right in the middle of the farmer's market. In these massive trees. So that was kind of interesting. And then in the same area, you had like a fish market. More flowers. And taxis. So again, I was kind of like, wow, these yellow taxis are everywhere. And then you had this like old building here. And Richard is like a chain of coffee stores. So Richard would have like occupied the bottom floor and like retrofitted it for their coffee place, but then like kept the rest of it. And like the bakery goods and all that, oh, just freaking crazy. But yeah, this was just again part of the market there. I spent hours just exploring this place. More ancient buildings. This is just a mixture of all the different types of architecture. More modern, really old, and kind of in between. A beer garden. Yeah, it's literally called a beer garden. Exactly what it's called. I'm coming out the other side of the entryway here. And then there's this building here, and it literally had a wall of cheese. And a bicycle, which I thought was quite... it was really symbolic. I mean, the amount of bicycles that almost hit me in Munich had to be close to 50 or 60 bicycles nearly hit me. So yeah, it was it was a dangerous place to be a pedestrian. So now I'm back on the bus. I'm sitting a little bit in a different position in the bus. It was cold that day. You can see it's got glass windows, and this roof actually closed, I think, eventually. But I'm basically back on the bus. And I think I'm going to Olympic Park now, I think. Price of gasoline, if you're curious. $1.88. Oh yeah, this palace. I don't even know what it's called, but this thing was freaking massive. You can see all the tourist cars were there too. But the bus basically did a loop here. Like, look at this place. I didn't go inside it, but we just drove around in a circle. Crazy. So that we're not at Olympic Park yet. This is a different stretch of the tour on the bus. And then we're coming back out, and there's more duckies. And that's just kind of a different view of the same area there. So there were modern buildings. You just had to go out of that area quite a bit. So this is obviously some corporate head office for O2. And this highway here, we actually went on the highway with the bus. But like, look at all the cameras they had set up here. Like, I was like, wow, why are there so many cameras? These are like traffic cams pointing like 20 different directions. And this is the BMW head office. I think this was the BMW museum over here on the left. And then on the right is the BMW head office. Like, these buildings look incredible. I never went into either of them. Yeah, it's a BMW museum. And then this bowl is also part of it. I'm not exactly sure. But yeah, BMW obviously is quite prominent in that area. And now we're getting to Olympic Park, okay? So we're really out on the outskirts. And I didn't get off the bus. I just basically took the bus around the perimeter of this park. And this tower is in almost all my photos at this point. It's so freaking big. It's everywhere. I mean, you saw it way back when I took a picture from on top of St. Peter, and now we got up close and personal. And now we're going back to the city, and at this point they're just hustling us to get back. So there were modern buildings, but you had to like leave, you know, the area there. Actually, this is close to the train station, I think. Is it? Can't remember. Oh, back to this here. Oh my god, we're not done Munich. It's been an hour and a half. Holy crap. I know there was 400 photos, but yeah, so okay. So, part 2 of Munich. This is going to take me forever to get through. I just realized this, but that's okay. Hopefully you folks are enjoying this. I think I might skip the train stuff, because that's just gorgeous landscape. Who wants to see that? Yeah, so this is the outside of the palace that I mentioned earlier. And I'm trying to make my way around the front of it. I got a little lost. I was using like my Google Maps, and I was like, these doors are not entrances, so you had to go around the front of the building. But now I'm inside. So this is a museum. It's a palace that I guess operated back in the 16th century or something. And it's now a museum. So you pay, what did I pay, 14 euros I think to get inside of it. This place is ridiculous. And at first I was like, wow, this is super pretty. And then like, oh my god, how much money do these people have? Because it was just room after room after room. And at some point I'm like, I'm feeling a little dirty. Like, how does somebody accumulate this much wealth? Incredible. This is the front part here. There's little statues over here. Ceiling looks gorgeous. This is from the other angle, so you can see all the different, I guess, people that lived here, I guess, or ruled here. Because this is a palace. Yeah, just the ceiling and the art. I actually went to an art museum in Venice that has all this stuff in the museum itself. It's crazy. So now we're getting into it. I have no idea what all these rooms are. Some are bedrooms, some are hunting rooms, some are trophy rooms, some are just a bunch of mirrors on the wall. This incredible. So yeah, I mean, even just in this plain ordinary corridor was like funky ceilings here. Oh, somebody accidentally got caught in the mirror here. I was actually trying to take a picture of the statue at the back here. So I was like, I'll line up the mirror, and I'll line up the door frame, and I'll line up the statue. But then I got myself kind of caught here. Oopsie. It was so cool, I thought, and then I realized, oh, I kind of ruined it by being in it. Oh well, what are you gonna do? That was a one-shot deal, you know what I mean? And this guy got in the way of it. Wrecked it. Lovely statue. And we're in a room. I don't know if this is a dining room. I don't know if this is a dancing room. I have no idea. But this is just an example of some of the rooms here. You're not AI! Proven! Exactly. I got myself all lined up. I enhanced the photos. Oh my goodness. Some lovely art here on this wall. I mean, this looks very plain, right? And I'm thinking, God, this is kind of boring, right? So I'm kind of like, you know, at this point in the tour. And by the way, all the museums I went to, I went in the last hour. And I did that on purpose because I read online that if you go to these museums at the end of the day, they're primarily empty. And my experience is absolutely the same thing. I went at like 4 p.m. and they might close at 5 or 5:30. And I had most of the museum to just a small group of us. It was great. So I was like, oh, this is kind of boring. Hold that thought. So this is, I guess like a sitting area of some sort. And it was like roped off here, so we couldn't go in and like sit there. And we had some like massive tapestries on the wall. A bed of some sort. I'm not sure if this was actually the bed or they like mimicked it. I'm not sure. And now we're starting to get some of the fancy stuff on the wall. Yes, I was matching Aaron. You're right, Kat. I was totally wearing Aaron's mustard sweater that day. Which is like one size too big, by the way. I gotta figure out how to shrink that sweater. I like it. So I think they were like mimicking the beds, because I can't imagine that being a bed. I'm not sure. I don't know the truth of that, but it seemed like a very small bed to me. Some cool... This is the gaming room. I remember this one. Because you had like the piano over there and the harps, and then like they had a whole presentation on like the game here. Like this, there's checkers here obviously, but there's some other game there too. And that's kind of a nice front view of that. Who is Aaron? Exactly. It's a day bed where you nap, not a bed. Oh, okay. Okay. Today I learned. So now we're starting to get into some interesting ceilings here for sure, but it's another long hallway with some art on the wall. And here it starts. Here's where it begins, folks. From this moment onward, my jaw is hitting the floor with the ornate detail on the walls, on the ceilings, on the floors. Unfrickin' believable. Unbelievable. Like, everything had some detail to it. And, like, this is the same room, but, like, just a different corner of it. Incredible. I think this was a hunting room or a meeting room or something. I mean, look at that ceiling. That's ridiculous. Didn't they call those fainting couches? Yeah, maybe. So, yeah, like, this is where they ramp it up here. Ramp it up. Aaron was from Dark Pictures, right? She wore that lovely mustard sweater in Dark Pictures. The H.H. Holmes one. So it's just like, and even the door frames, like this was marble, right? Like this was like hard marble. And you had all the gold inlay everywhere. And again, I have no idea what this room was for, but it was breathtaking. Erin was the girl we killed in Dark Pictures when she was suffocated to death. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Erin, my favorite. Then you had like these statues that were kind of inlaid into the wall here. Giant door, marble everywhere. Like even the floor looks really nice. And this was, I remember this being a dining room. Could you imagine having a meal in here? My goodness. All right, Tildy, thank you for dropping in. Hopefully you have some sweet dreams. Well, this was the palace of the ruler of Bavaria. Or ruler. So each ruler would add their whatever to it. But yeah, they were definitely filthy rich. Because it's all one building. This is the same frickin' palace. I like this because I could take a picture of this door frame and then the one down there. This one was green and this one was kind of salmon. But yeah, like you had a fireplace in here. Look at this thing. Ridiculous. Just more. And this was a throne room or a discussion room or some sort of... I don't think it was a throne room. It was like a debate room or something. This was something else too. I don't, like I said, I don't remember all these rooms. There's too many of them. Look at this ceiling, it's ridiculous. Yeah, this was the chapel. So the palace obviously had its own chapel. So like a 3-story chapel. Just 2 different angles of that. And then there was a special prayer room for the ruler. So this was his prayer room. Because, you know, he's not going to go and like hang out in the chapel. He's going to have his own separate room. Yeah, exactly. A filthy rich, that's why we get revolutions later on? Exactly. Like, I don't know, right? I mean, it just... The amount of detail and artisanship that goes into this is unreal. So yeah, I mean, this is just... Now we're getting into like this... I don't know what you call it, but it was like a fabric... a regal fabric on the wall. And like, look at the way this... Like the ornate gold just kind of climbs its way onto the ceiling. I don't know if you can see it here too. Oh no, not here. Oh yeah, there's dogs here too. Look at all the dogs. So I think this was the hunting room, I think. Or the trophy room. No, I can't remember. No, I only went to half the museum, okay? So there was 2 parts of this palace you could go to. This living space one that I did. And then there was a treasury one that I didn't do. I didn't have time for. And I could only imagine what treasures they had in this other museum. But yeah, like it's crawling up the ceiling with this gold inlay. Gold everywhere. Look at this. And look at all these paintings. Unfrickin' believable. Oh, I think I'm in this picture. I think that's my elbow there. Yeah, I should have left more time to do both, but again, I was like, oh, you know, I just need an hour, but I totally read that. But yeah, I'm in this one here. My elbow is showing. And the ceiling in here too. This is where it starts to climb up and then form its own thing here. Like, it's just art everywhere. Yeah. So this is kind of coming to the end of it, but it was just, it got to the point where I was flabbergasted, I was upset, I was excited, I was amazed, like all the feelings of seeing this just extravagant living space, you know? Oh, I'm in this one too. Ornate. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah, exactly. Alright, Simona, you take care. So yeah, there's more mirror game. Gibbs is hanging out in here. These people here, you can kind of see them listening into like what looks like, what do you call it? Like cell phones? But what it was the audio tour that you could get in different languages. So like they were all listening in their own language to what each room was. I didn't bother with that. I was just too busy taking photographs. So yeah, so there's me hanging in that one. I'm probably in this one too somewhere. Sneaky, I guess. Nice couch. And then this room here, I don't even know what it is. Just whatever this is. Like, it just every square centimeter is filled with something here. And now we're back. So the way I understand it here is this was all relatively new. And then there was only one room that they kept the original vibe from the 16th century, and that's this room here. So this was like old school, I guess, without the gold. It was more like just chiseled into it without actually having all the gold everywhere. So anyways, these are all of the rulers, I guess. So they got themselves on the wall, and this was literally how many people ruled this freaking place for all those centuries. Just mind-boggling. This is my favorite, the dude with the sword and with the the Catholic sphere thing or whatever. Yeah. So I think this is it. This was basically a little, what do you call it, like a three-dimensional map of everywhere. So this is the park area that I walked through many times. Remember, we saw the wedding there, and this is the government building over here. And yeah, so this was the palace we just walked through, is in the middle part here. And this is the outside area. This is the little statue that had the birds on it. I never went in this building. I don't know what this is. So like a model. Yeah, that's it. So now we're back outside. I don't know what this building is. This might be where the treasury is. I'm not sure. But this was the palace that we went through, the entrance that we went through. And here's our buddy here, the statue with all the pigeons shitting all over him, which I thought was kind of poetic. And this is old school. Check out this. Like, I actually tripped twice walking on this stuff. This is old school. All the stuff you've seen so far on the ground is nothing compared to this stuff. This is the old school cobble. And yeah, so that kind of got me through the, that was it for Munich. And as I was walking back to the hotel, I found this monument to Michael Jackson. And like, I was like, that's strange. But yeah, it's some statue. I don't know who this guy is, but they've converted it into a Michael Jackson memorial or something. So I thought it was weird. And a tram that just goes on the grass, like it just doesn't care, you know? But yeah, this was it. This was my final night. I went for pho for dinner that night, and that got me through to... That was it. That was all it was for Munich. So yeah, I mean, that took me an hour and 40 minutes to get through the Munich part of the journey. There is obviously Venice, which is basically going to take the same amount of time, and Vienna, which is going to take the same amount of time. But the train ride, I will talk a bit about the train ride. So I had two different trains here, you can see. And the first train is this one on the left, Munich to Venice. And it was an old train. The service was terrible. It was stuffy. It was just not a very good experience. This new train was awesome. I felt like a king in it. And the service felt like first class. And the food was great. And the seating was fabulous. But this old train was just terrible. Now these pictures here, so we're basically in Munich, right? We're starting at the Munich station. I might as well just jump right into this thing. May as well. This won't take too long because a lot of these photos are just bad. So I'm in the Munich station here, right? The train station. And there's like homeless people wandering around. I actually got a meal like for breakfast. Went to go sit on a bench. And this gentleman approaches me, who I had seen already digging in like the containers for plastic, because plastic is like 25 cents recycle or whatever. Smelling of piss, and he's like, hey, you've got my bench. And I'm trying to eat my breakfast, have my coffee, and he sits next to me and he's mumbling and groaning, and I'm like, oh my god. So my appetite just disappeared, it evaporated. My experience at this Munich train station was not good. It was under heavy construction, pounding and grinding, and like if you worked here, I don't know how, like it was just, I mean, it's under construction, so very heavy equipment, machinery grinding away. But anyways, this was the track that number 11 was the one that my train arrived on. I didn't take a very good photo here, but because I chopped off the letters, but so this is just more of the train station. It was a pretty old train station. It definitely had nothing really interesting about it. It had quite a lot of tracks though. Like you can see, this is from the outside, all these tracks going into it. What I learned real quick about being on a train is reflections are a thing. So almost all my pictures have these like reflections in them. And, you know, it is what it is. You're on a train. There's not much you can do about it. But it definitely kind of took away a lot of the excitement of the journey here. So we're in Germany at this point, and essentially you go from Munich down south. You cross through the thin part of... Here, I'll show you. Let me show you. So you're starting up at Munich in the top left corner. You go to Rosenheim. You cut through the thin part of Austria. And then you work your way down to Bolsena, Bolsum, Trento, Verona, Vincia, Padua, and Venice. So it's like shaped like the letter L, basically. So that's kind of this leg of the journey. I thought it was going to be amazing. I thought it was going to be the best part of the trip, but honestly, it was not. I didn't find the outside that exciting at all. The second leg, when I went from Venice over to Vienna, which Vienna's in the top right corner, was absolutely stunning. Especially all of Austria. Oh my god. The Austrian countryside, I've never seen anything like it. It was just... And I'm not going to get to that yet, but the Austrian pictures are way better, so... Did you photobomb yourself again? Probably. I'm probably in here somewhere. It was really hard. I mean, it is what it is. Like, you saw, like, this is probably my hands, like, you know, it was nice. Like, there was mountains and what have you, but the reflections are just really bad. You can see the train lights in here. You can see all the passengers, you know, like, whatever. So, yeah, I mean, if it wasn't for the reflection, you probably would have had a much greater scenery, but it was nice, I guess. Like these trees were kind of weird. Austria's a fairy tale book. Yeah, no, Austrian countryside was gorgeous. Yeah, so you can definitely see the people I was sitting next to over there. Well, whatever. But yeah, so this was basically Germany still. Just gonna skip through much of this because once you see a hill, you see a hill, you know? There was farmland, there was some water. More farmland. More train stations. Wurgelhof, that's about a third of the way into the journey. But yeah, I mean, what I should have did is I should have taken a night train on this part of the trip. I debated it, but I thought this was going to be, quote, the pretty part, but I was dead wrong. Dead wrong. Alright, take care of yourself, Kim. We'll see you soon. But knowing what I know now, I would have taken the night train for this stretch and got to Venice a little bit early. Like, this picture would have been gorgeous if it wasn't for the reflection, you know? Yeah, no, I didn't know. You're right, I didn't know. I mean, there was just some lovely parts, but, like, you know, train photography. What are you going to do? So, Innsbruck is actually in Austria at this point. So, the very narrow stretch of Austria we go through here is where Innsbruck is. This part was kind of gorgeous. Again, this is Austria, so this is what Austria looks like. Like, this is nice. This is very nice. And you had this, like, suspended, like, highway over here, too, which is crazy. Wrapping around the mountains here. Imagine cutting this grass. Good heavens. Breno. So this is now, we're in Italy. So this is actually the border crossing of Austria to Italy. And you'll notice that the sign here is in German and in Italian. I noticed that for like a good 100 kilometers that all the cities had two names, one in Italian and one in German. So yeah, we're at the crossing between Austria and Germany, or sorry, Austria and Italy. So yeah, just more blurry. Good times here. So you can see here it's got, the instructions are in German and they're in Italian. And this is the two names of this place. One is German, one is Italian. We are in Italy at this point. There were some neat little areas, like this was kind of neat too. Alright, Zizi, thank you for hanging out with us. There was a lot of mist. Yeah. There was definitely a lot of mist here, sure. Like, this was neat. It's just like you had all these train wires and, you know. This is what you see. Like, the pictures do not do it justice. It was actually quite lovely, to be honest with you, especially when we hit Italy. The pictures are hard to do it justice. Well, now we're starting to get into some of the farming in Italy, where, like, it was, you can see, like, the vineyards here were very nice. This is all Italy at this point. Look at these. This is great. This looks awesome. So yeah, I think we're getting close to the ride here, but there was definitely a lot of farming going on in Italy. And I think we're getting into the end of the trip, the end of the train trip here, because I can recognize all these tracks. I think Rexy is sleeping while Gibbs were talking about his trip. So Verona. Okay, so Verona, if I bring up the map again, Verona, you can see, is in the very bottom left corner. Okay, so once we get to Verona, we came straight down from Innsbruck, we went to Bozen, Trento, and then we're at Verona, and then poof, to the right. We go Vencia, and then Padua, and then Venice. So, and it was getting dark too, so the train pictures are even worse when it's like dark outside, so I didn't even bother. So this is it. Yay! We're in Venice. We are in Venice. This was all the different stops. So I took a lot of pictures of, like, Warg we took, Innsbruck. This was the border crossing. We took this one. So this was basically all the different stops. And yeah, you can see it. This trip was actually 7 hours. It's missing the first few stops. And the Venice to Vienna was actually 8 hours. So it was 1 extra hour for the second part. This was just a view of crossing the border. Took it on my phone. And at this point, at 4 o'clock, I was 2.5 hours away. And this is, I guess, coming through the mountains here. See, I think if I would go back to Italy, I would go definitely like kind of west coast, you know, to like Pisa and Florence, maybe Genoa. I'm not sure. I'm not sure where I'd go in Italy again, but so yeah, and that is that. So that was quick. That was like 10 minutes. Venice is next. Yeah, Venice is indeed the next stop. And I think what I'm gonna do, folks, is I mean, at this point I feel like we have to continue. It's only what, 9:45. So well, I'm just gonna grab a quick cold drink, and we'll take a very quick break here.